morning. It is Monday morning. It is 11:18 on July 1st. Rabbit, rabbit. It is July 1st. I'm waiting. There's my video. It is caught up. It is July 1st. Rabbit, rabbit. Good morning. Welcome. It is Mondays with Robin. And if you can hear in my voice, I have been, it's very funny. I did my live last week and I was all excited, but I was tired because I had been to the concert, whatever. And almost immediately after my live on Monday, I started to feel crappy. By Monday night, I had a fever and I was out on like just miserably sick since Monday. So today is the first day that I actually feel mostly normal. And I was out like fatigue and aches and chills and pains and no smell and no taste and all of the symptoms. And it was the first time. I mean, I've had COVID. I had COVID in April of 2020. I had COVID like in 2021 at one point. Apparently my body knows how to process it, but like this is as sick as I've been. It's the first time I ever got sick with COVID. So it was a rough one. And I think I read somewhere that the whatever this strain is particularly virulent. So I can speak to that definitively. I felt crappy all week. Those of you who are on my newsletter list, I couldn't even send an email out last week. I was like, I got nothing. Um, I know when I get sick like this, it's always an upgrade, and I know that when I said yes to some big stuff last week, this was my ascension, this was my upgrade. So I sort of just know to surrender and not fight it and not try to do anything more than I can, and I just let it run its course. I took all the things, some essential oils and some zinc and some immune boosters and vitamin D and all the things um, that you're supposed to do, but it was intense, and I am grateful to be on the other side of it. I think I'm probably at about 75% capacity, which my 75% capacity is still someone else's 100% capacity, and still. I am grateful to be on the other side of it and starting to feel better, and it was a long week, and I was basically by myself. Like I had people checking in on me phone wise or whatever, but I was essentially by myself. And someone said, "Well, that must have been such a great opportunity to connect with yourself and your guides and get some guidance and all this stuff." And I was like, I was too sick to actually do any of it. Like at one point I tried meditating and I was like, I can't even do that because that was too much effort. It was too much, and again, meditating is not effort, but it felt like it was too much. So I just vegged out and I binged a couple of shows and I read my book, and even my book was a little hard sometimes to pay attention to. But yeah, I slept when I needed to. I just took care of myself and just kept seeing myself as whole and healthy and vital. And I'm grateful that I trust in this process that will get better, because sometimes when you feel sick it's hard to remember what healthy feels like, and you're just like, this, it'll never be anything the other. I i uh I don't know what day it was over the weekend. I had to go to the grocery store because I had, used most of my resources up here. So I put a mask on and I knew I wasn't probably contagious anymore, but I didn't want to take a chance. So I went to the grocery store and I had this moment of like, just before I walked into the grocery store, I was like, oh dear God, there's a lot of people in here. And I just was like, I went back to my car, I sat down, I breathed, I put my shields up. Um, it was fine, but it was the first time in my whole life that I ever had like, oh shit, there's a wall of people. And that's how I knew that my defenses were really down. So I was grateful that I got the opportunity to be on my couch. Like I kind of canceled most of my clients. I saw a couple, but something happened that most of my clients canceled on me, and I was grateful for the reprieve. So it was good and not good all at the same time, and I'm glad to be on the other side of it. I want to ask you folks a question. I was having this conversation with someone this morning, and it started me being curious. What do you consider a healer? we were talking about this earlier today, and it brought up some um, interesting points. Because in my view of things, um, I, I'm hesitant to give you my view before I hear your view. I really want to hear your view. So when I say a healer, like I am a healer, or I work with healers, or whatever, the world needs all the healers it can get. What do you think I mean? What does it mean? And then we went back and forth around a healer versus a consciousness being, or a light worker, or a spiritual seeker. And they had sort of, each of them had um, points that we liked, and challenges, and we didn't settle on. I mean, I like the word healer, but my friend did not, and she couldn't really articulate what it was about. She said it felt like there was some ego involved, that the healer does something to someone else. And I kept saying, but all a healer does is hold a vibration. And that's it. A healer holds a particular vibration. And as a healer, we are, as all of us, we're charged with holding the highest vibration we possibly can, which means clearing out our channel. Which, when I get sick like this is a huge clearing out of my channel. This is, like I said, it's an upgrade. It is an ascension. It is like anytime I've ever had a Reiki attunement, when I went from Reiki 2 to master level, I had a healing crisis. It lasted for a long time because, again, it was clearing my channel. When I transitioned out of healthcare, obviously I had just had COVID. It was a clearing. It was a healing. It was an ascension. Last year when I started my Starseed Ascension program, I got wicked sick. It wasn't COVID then. It was just like this ascension flu, which I assumed this was until I lost my taste and smell and then tested positive. So whatever. But every time I've had a major step up in my clearing, healing, in my ability to hold space and my ability to hold a vibration, every time I've said yes to something in a very big way, almost immediately I've had a healing crisis. So I consider myself, I know I hold a higher vibration, and I consider myself a healer, not because I do something to someone. Absolutely. Do I have clients? Do I perform healing? Sure. But what I do most of the time is hold space, and the healing comes through. Like, there's not so much that I'm doing anymore in terms of healing. My group healings, especially, all I'm doing is holding the channel open. So I'm curious, when we talk about a healer, what does that mean for you? Because this is what I was trying to say, is for me, what a healer does is holds a vibration, and the person in front of them, whoever it is, whether they're a client or not, just the person with you decides, do they want to vibrate at that frequency or not? And we all have the choice all the time of where do we want to put our energy and attention and focus. And I know personally, the way I live is, I'm almost always, I mean, I'm human, but most of the time I'm focusing on, what do I need to do to keep or raise my vibration. So if something comes in and I get like irritated or frustrated or sick, then that's the invitation in me to rest, or clear what's there, or figure out what it's hitting in me, asking to be healed. And I do that all day long. It's rare that I give into fear or doubt or scarcity, or like, a lot of us, there was a lot of, I don't know, frustration and panic comes to mind on Thursday after the debate, and I just refused to give into it. I felt it, I acknowledged it, and also I'm like, okay, this is for us. How is this for us? How is this for me? Just like I got sick last week, I could have been poor me, And there was one moment in time where I was, but I know from past experiences when I do that, when my mood goes down, when I lower my frequency into like a poor me or a victim or why is this happening to me, it makes the symptoms worse. So yes, there was one moment on, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday when I just was like, oh, I just want to feel better, right? Like I just was achy and tired and feverish and ugh, I just wanted to feel better. Um, but even then, I connected with Source, and I just was like, all right, what do I need to do to help me feel better? It wasn't, or how can you help me feel better? It wasn't like, why is this happening to me? None of that. And I think the more that we can do that, the easier it gets to hold a certain vibration so that when stuff happens, when the bigger things happen, when things come to try to shake us off of our path, our core, our center, we have the practices to fall back on to get us out of it or to get us up from it or to, we're going to stumble. We're human. When nobody can sustain this all the time, that's why it's practice. That's why it's discipline. And so when I think of healers, and I say this all the time, everybody that's here is a healer, whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you admit it or not. Sometimes I say you're the healer, meaning you're the one holding the vibration. And that's what I mean. I mean, you're the one holding a certain vibration. And so then when that gets to be true, and I actually believe that most people on the planet right now are healers. I actually believe that. Whether they choose to acknowledge it or not is a different story, but I think everybody here is here to have an impact. And so, can we hold a different vibration? Can we decide that we want to set the tone for the world that we live in? And that's what a healer does. I really firmly believe that what a healer is someone who sets a vibration and sets the tone. I say a lot to my clients that when they're in relationship, they're the de facto leader. They're the consciousness one. They're the one doing the consciousness work, which means they have, let's say, an obligation to hold a certain vibration. Does that mean they aren't going to get into arguments? No. Does that mean that their relationship is perfect? Absolutely not. What it means is that they're the ones who are putting in the time and effort and work to clear out their own shit. That also means they don't have to stay in relationships where their energy isn't valued and their person isn't valued and they're not respected. In fact, I advocate all the time that my clients leave the spaces where they are not respected and cherished and adored. But it starts with them. And this is what I teach all day long every day is our job is to heal and clear and know ourselves. Again, at the door to some Adelphi Academy and mystery schools, it was know thyself. That's the point. Know thyself. And a healer knows thyself. That's my version. That's my definition. I don't know what other people's definition are, but when I say I'm calling healers and light workers and spiritual seekers and consciousness beings, that's what I mean. I mean the people who are interested in knowing thyself so that we can be in a different world. We can be the world that we can be the change that we want to see in the world. It gets to be really easy. It's Byron Katie talks about there's either your work, their work, or God's work. And if you're doing their work or God's work, there's nobody at home doing your work. So if you're worried about what they're doing and what they're thinking or what they should be doing, they should do this, XYZ, they should, and that could be applied to anybody in any situation, they should. That's an automatic invitation for you to sit with you. And if you're trying to fix, help, save, rescue, that's God's work. God's work is kind of everything else. Your job is to sit with and clear and heal within you so that you can hold the truest, deepest, highest vibration possible. And the more of us who do this, the more of us there is a resonance. I've mentioned before I have something called the Healers Guild, that there's a bunch of us who are really high level, high vibration, high energy people. And we just all get together every other week or so just to kind of be in a space where we can share with each other. At one point we were talking about creating more Healers Guilds, and I think that we still probably will, but the focus of our group primarily is so that we can connect and share and hold a vibration with each other, because it's easier to do it together. We fly faster, better, longer together than any one of us could alone. And my guides have told me over and over and over again, the time is now that we need community. Like, we can't do it alone. We can't be silos anymore. We need to be flying faster, better, farther together. Period. We have to be like geese at this point. And so a healer is just someone who holds a vibration. So when I talk about a healers guild, it's a group of us that want to just hold a certain vibration in the world. And I would love to help you create a healers guild. It's not like I said, my group is closed, but like, I would love to help you create that. I would love to help you create pockets of places where you can be together for whatever purpose. It doesn't even matter. And even if it's just to kibitz. But our job as healers is to hold the vibration. And that's kind of it. We're not doing anything to anybody. There's no ego involved. This is just my version of a healer, is someone who holds a high vibration. I'm very curious to know what your version of a healer is. And I would love very much for us to come together in something with a term that fits. That's kind of all I got. I tend to ramble a little bit. I don't even know what I have coming up. I know I have a group healing on July 24th. Other than that, I don't know. We are talking about putting together a couple of chakra classes. I actually think I think we're putting the latest version of the Chakras of Consciousness class, I think, is going to be called the Blueprint for Consciousness. I'm toying with that. So stay tuned, and I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing Monday.